What's up? How you doing? Here we are, beautiful evening right now, and we're gonna have a little bit of a snack. We're gonna have anchovies, anchovy fillets, right? So that's what I'm using. And there's a bit of confusion here, but I have anchovy essence dressing. I have no idea what that's for. I bought it assuming that you add it to the anchovies to intensify the anchovy flavor, but my wife, my bride, says that you may add this to salads or something to give it an anchovy flavor. I don't care about that. I'm adding it to the anchovies, and I'm going to try it that way. So right there, and then I'm going to add a little bit olive oil. Bono Sicilian extra virgin olive oil, organic, product of Italy, 100% product of Italy, cold extracted, and extra virgin olive oil. It says used by, best of used by October 16, 2026. This is going to be gone way before that. So it's going to be good in glass, which I like. I hate buying things in plastic. Have a nice piece of bread here, homemade bread, and then I have a Stella beer. Took it out of the fridge just now. Drink in moderation. Don't drink and drive. Otherwise, you're going to wrap yourself around a telephone pole or a tree. Especially those trees with the big roots that look like the Hulk coming out of the sidewalk. Yeah, that's what you're going to end up hitting on. Alright, we try this. Stella makes a great beer. Has a rich beer smell. 600 years of brewing experience. All right, open up the anchovies. My hands look dirty, right? But they're not. So when I cleaned these rusty spikes, I had them in vinegar, and I had my hands in the vinegar, and I had like a coating of rust and vinegar on my hands. So then I washed it, and it wouldn't come off 100%. I must have washed my hands like 35 times by now. They're clean, but the rust has penetrated into the dry skin, and it's going to have to just grow out on its own slowly. So they're not dirty, but you know, they look that way. Look at that. Let me get the whole thing out. Little sardines, and we're not going to use the oil in here. It's probably inferior to the oil I have. Now we open this up. Should have brought a knife. Should grow my nails out like Paul Simon and Bob Dylan. You ever see these nails? Many years ago, when I was a child, we were invited to a friend of the family's. They bought a house. This is like, I was probably like maybe 4 years old back then. They bought a house, and he was there with his wife, and they invited us over, even though the whole place was full of boxes. We were actually sitting on boxes and a little table there, and they had shrimp cocktail, right? And so he's there, and he's a mechanic, and his hands look like he had just done a valve job on a 1966 Buick. His fingernails had all kind of dirt underneath, you know, and he was there putting the shrimp in the sauce and eating it and then licking and everything. And then my aunt, who was sitting next to me, was eating out of the same thing as him and enjoying it. And my mother, who is very, very observant when it comes to that kind of stuff, could not stand watching that. She felt like gagging, and still mentions it to this day. She's like, I can't believe she was eating out of that, even though that was like 100 years ago. Anyway, so here we go. Open it up. Delicious. Put some over the sardines. All right. Close it up. Now this thing I'm not sure of. Never had it before. Anchovies essence dressing. Should have directions here, but it says ingredients: anchovies and salt. So you got to eat this by March 25th, 2026, full year from now. Well, we'll see. You can never have too many anchovies in your mouth. I'm not really sure about this one. It's a little bit too much anchovy-ish. I'll add a little bit on the side. Just a little bit. That's like anchovies on steroids. I'll take a picture of this. I want to send it to somebody. One moment. All right, yeah, that very powerful. I put a little bit there and I smell it like it's right here, like a big sock with this inside of it. Mix it in there with the olive oil. Maybe get some of that essence in there. Good, very good. A little bit of bread. Delicious. That is very good. I recommend it for a quick snack. Great beer. Very, very good beer. Good flavor. So yeah, that's good. I think dolphins eat that a lot. It's delicious. But maybe I should have bought 2 of these anchovy things. Call them sardines, but I mean anchovies. If I ever say sardines, I'm misspeaking. All right. Well, I'm going to add a little bit more of this essence. And this Sicilian olive oil. Mix it in. That's very good. Such a nice evening. Like to be out here. Nice television set. Zenith System 3, watching a good boxing match. Fell down. I really enjoy watching game shows. Like The Price is Right, Wheel of Fortune, Family Feud with Steve Harvey. I like Match Game, new and old, like that Gene Rayburn. But I used to watch a lot of game shows. I liked Sail of the Century. Tattletale I used to watch years ago. What's that one with the card sharks? I used to watch that a lot. And then that Name That Tune one. They'd give you a hint. And then you'd say, I can name that tune in 5 notes. And then the other guy would say, I can name it in 4. And you'd say, I can name it in 3 notes. And then they'd go, I can name it in 2. And then you'd say, name that tune. And it'd be like, ding, ding. And you'd say, Rhapsody in Blues, George Gershwin. I'd be like, $500. But game shows are not as popular as they once were. Remember one time I had a bad cold. I stayed home from school and I ended up watching all the game shows in the morning. And then after that I started watching The Adventures of Superman with George Reeves. I enjoy that, even though it's a little bit corny, but I enjoy watching it. And these anchovies are delicious. I don't know where they're from. Probably Portugal. Portugal. Never been to Portugal. I do know, however, that they have great soap in Portugal. I used to get Portuguese soap. Big, like round like that, like a melon. And take a nice shower, do a double, lather up, rinse, lather up. I do the repeat thing. Very fragrant soap, nice fragrance. And I wish I had more anchovies. One time I was in Nevada, the state of Nevada, and the place I was staying, it was a nice, it's like not a hotel room, it was I don't know, a suite, right? Bathroom, bedroom, kitchen, all that stuff. And downstairs was a French bistro. Now the only bistro I ever knew was Jack's Bistro from Three's Company. I didn't know, I've never been to a bistro before, especially a French one. So I went in there and I ordered a French steak, and it was so delicious. You know, the French people have a knack for cooking. Not all of them, obviously. You know, not everybody in France is a cook. But the culture, they have great dishes, nice tasting dishes. They've mastered it. I don't know how they came up with all those dishes. They probably copied Julia Child, which I'm a huge fan of. Huge fan of Julia Child. I used to watch her a lot when I was a kid. Ooh. So not bad, but I think it's a taste that you have to develop over time. When I was a kid and I had anchovies, I did not like them. Somebody said put anchovies on the pizza, I would be like, no. I would equate that with eating lamb or something. But the older I got, I've acquired the taste now. So I enjoy anchovies, especially the really good ones. There's a place in Vegas. They make nice salad and they have anchovies in there, and they're really, really flavorful. So that, and I've never had haggis. You hear that? That is not a mama's boy. I think it's just a guy with a motorcycle. But I've never had haggis. Never. Just the thought of it is not appealing, you know. It's just the way they make it. But I'm probably gonna have it one of these days. I'll go to a Scottish restaurant and I will order the haggis. And hopefully it's good. The older I get, the more I'm not afraid to try different foods. Only one little piece left. It's a good little meal. Go hiking and bring a good meal. You know, like to go hiking deep in the woods and bring a couple of good steaks. Maybe a couple of these. And then have a meal up in the mountain while the bears are smelling what I'm eating. I feel full, even though that was not a big meal, but I feel a little bit full right now. A lot of motorcycles. Many years ago, I went to Surges, right? And they had a motorcycle rally there. Everybody with a motorcycle was there. The whole town, it was like Harley Davidsons as far as the eye could see. And actually went in to get a haircut. I went in there and it was locals, right? And they were all talking about a fishing trip they had done. And everybody knows when people talk about fishing, they're always lying about the size of the fish. So I was there listening, and they were talking. I didn't talk much because I wasn't part of the, the group. They knew each other for years. I don't want to jump in there and say, I got an opinion here, listen to me. Got something to say. But I was listening, and I got a haircut there, and then I got out there, and it was so loud. And then another time, I was in South Carolina, and it was bike week, and one of the main roads there, I was walking down, and it was thousands of bikers. Like, I don't know, I didn't count them, but it was overwhelming. And the sound, and at nighttime you were trying to sleep and you would hear like bop, 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 bop. Like Harleys, they make beautiful bicycles. Big fan of Harley Davidson, Triumph, Indian, like the Midnight there, the what was it called? Who makes that bike? What's the name of that company? But anyway, they make a really cool bike. That bike, the Midnight bike there, held the world record for the fastest motorcycle for a time back in the old days. And now, you got to pay like probably over $100,000 to buy one. When I hear a beep like that, it reminds me of Tom Waits. That song, was it called Heart of Saturday Night, where there's a beep? Or is that San Diego Serenade? I think it's the Heart of Saturday Night. Man, I'm a big fan of Tom Waits. Big fan. Wish I had more bread. I'm not a big bread guy, I don't eat bread a lot, but for food like that, they belong together. Where bread doesn't belong, I'm not a fan of eating bread and steak, bread and spaghetti. I don't like that. Bread and peanut butter and jelly. Yeah, I have to have bread. But if somebody brings me a steak, don't bring me the bread. Just bring me more steak. A lot of people are like, well, I'm still hungry. It's like, well, get a bigger steak or get two. But don't fill up with the bread. Anyway, tonight we're having lasagna, and a very tasty lasagna. Very excited. And then after that, for a snack, dessert, whatever you want to call it, we're having cannolis. Yeah, you go to the Italian pastry shop, and man, those desserts in there, those pastries are delicious. Delicious. Did some laundry today. I use Tide, and sometimes I'll add borax. Sometimes depends on the stains. Or what's the other thing there? When I was a kid, there was a commercial, Whisk. and somebody would be talking to somebody, and one guy would look and say, "Hey, you have ring around the collar," and he'd be all embarrassed. It's like, oh, and then they'd go and buy whisk, and they would take a bunch of that and put it like a line through the collar, and then they'd throw it in the wash with regular detergent, and it would come out nice and clean. But I want to say, you know, if you have that much of a ring around the collar that you need a special additive to your detergent, then possibly you're leaking oil. You know, like you're just too greasy of a person, because you know, if you have a filthy collar and you throw it in the wash with regular Tide, it'll take it off. But if you need whisk because Tide is not doing anything to the ring around the collar thing, then you have issues. Maybe you got to see a doctor. It's too much. But yeah, I remember that. And then the other one was all temperature cheer. You know, they made it sound like it was a breakthrough. Like you could use cold and wash the whites in or whatever, and cheer would take out the stains because it was that good. And then there was something called Dynamo that I thought was cool. I would buy it once in a while, Dynamo. But in my house, Tide. My mother never ever used anything but Tide. I don't remember ever running out of Tide and buying like Cheers or Cheer or whatever the hell. She always bought Tide. We always had a big thing of Tide in the basement where the laundry was. But I have experimented with different detergents throughout the years. Yeah. But I have found that whatever ingredients are in Tide, they seem to be the best. All right, so I'm going to go inside, see what's going on with my bride and my children, and then I may be back later when it's darker. You never know. You never know. We'll see. All right. Ciao for now.